Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Wednesday, January 3rd, 9:49 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Winter storm threatens East Coast, bringing temperatures colder than Mars. And that's Bombogenesis. We'll get to that. Let's talk about the timeline right before we made the video. At 7:05, a deep freeze is expected in Florida and warnings have been issued. 7:50, New York City schools canceled. 8:37, American Airlines cancels more than 600 flights. 9:45 p.m., 35,000 people without power in South. 10, Philadelphia officials announce a snow emergency. Guys, this storm hasn't hit. It's pretty wild, says Gus Crail, who's visiting Charleston. I've never seen snow on palm trees before, and that is a boom. That is a snow boom. Winter storm threatens East Coast, bringing temps colder than Mars. This is no bullshit. A massive bombogenesis, an area of rapidly declining low pressure, will wreak havoc on the Northeast this week, threatening hurricane-force winter gust winds and blinding snow. The bombogenesis will result in what is known as a bomb cyclone, and the bomb cyclone, expected to strike Thursday, will dump 6 to 12 inches of snow in New England and hurl 40 to 60 mile an hour gusts. This guy is just scraping some light ice off of something, which has nothing to do with it. Dozens of water main breaks plague Montgomery County in extreme cold. Bethesda, Maryland, this is a heads up. 35 active water main breaks in one single county. Grand solar minimum much? And that's a snow boom. Ice and extreme cold delay Seaway closing. This is the St. Lawrence Seaway. Frigid temperatures and ice buildup is making it hard to close down the St. Lawrence Seaway for the season. As of Tuesday afternoon, 5 commercial freighters remained on the St. Lawrence River, stuck in ice. Grand solar minimum much? Let's go to the GFS model. Is this interesting? Is this new? No. But at Thursday at 955 millibars, this is a Cat 3 hurricane. Maybe a Cat 4. Maybe a Cat 4 when it comes up here at 953 millibars. Who ever heard of a snow hurricane? This is probably because of climate change. Boom! No, it's because of the grand solar minimum. In 1804, a snow hurricane hit the very same place at the very same time. I don't have the graph. We can get it. Bear with me. This will take a moment. So what we're going to be looking at is the sunspot cycles for the last several hundred years, which is going to give us a clear idea of why there was a snow cane in 1804. It's called the Dalton minimum, cycle 5. We're on 24 at the bottom in the Eddy minimum, and we're repeating the past. Now, this isn't unique. The 1804 snow hurricane was the first tropical cyclone in recorded history known to produce snowfall. And this is not going to be the second. It will be the third. Because last solar cycle, we had the February 2010 North American blizzard. Right here at the bottom of cycle 23. And now we're having an unprecedented, they'll call it the biggest something in history, but it's the same as the North American blizzard and the same as the 1804 snow hurricane, because they happen at the same time in the same solar cycle with the same amount of cosmic radiation and the same amount of total solar irradiance. So clearly the Earth is going to react in the same way. Now, guys, as we speak, it's snowing in South Carolina. And by morning, North Carolina is going to be receiving a foot of snow on the coast. Wait until you see the numbers. New Jersey and the Delmarva are going to be spared, except for the tides and the flooding. But by tomorrow night, Long Island and Cape Cod are going to be in the midst of a hurricane. A snow cane. The snow cane of 2018. We're repeating the 206-year cycle, in case you don't see a pattern. We're just off a few years, give or take. And they started last solar cycle, and they're getting worse this solar cycle. And we still have 3 more solar cycles of worsening snow canes. I hope you start seeing a pattern here. Life-threatening tropical cyclone Ava to hit Madagascar. They are totally flux there. Cosmic ray has been on the increase for 3 days, 72 hours. We've been at KP1. We're dropping to 0. This is going to increase the cloud nucleation, the rainfall, and the deaths in Madagascar. Mount St. Helens is rumbling again with 40 quakes since New Year's Day. Unfortunately, we have to add 42 more quakes to that in the last 24 hours. Since I made the last video, which I happen to be up and catch the 3.9, probably the first person on the planet to put a warning out for Mount St. Helens. Heads up! Now, this is clearly magma moving in the chamber. It's not a fault releasing pressure. And you can simply see because of the nature of the 3-dimensional array of the seismic activity. There's probably vents and ports in this area. This one feeds the volcano. This one is coming from a different source. But there's a magma chamber pulling in this area. And there have been 42 quakes in 24 hours. You can count them. They're slowly popping off. So the activity has slowed. It has waned. There has been nothing in 24 hours. Or we would see something in red. Now what this is suggesting to me is that this caldera may go dead, and we may have a new eruptive event here, a vent forming somewhere in the Mud River area. Because there's certainly magma pooling in the subsurface here in a pocket. I wish there were some ground motion monitors here we could get to. I'm going to look into that. But for now, this area is safe. And if anything happens in the future, a fissure will erupt and steam will start to vent. And then we'll have a new volcano forming. Mount St. Helens Part 2. Part 2 for all you people in France. Now let's talk about NASA and NOAA revealing the truth about climate. This is amazing, coming out December 21st. Thank you, Ben Davidson, and all you suspicious observers. He talked about this paper, and I looked into it. Now, what they're showing here is that since the Dalton minimum to present, we've been warming. But since the mini ice age till the modern maximum, we've been warming. It's a solar cycle. You can clearly see the warming trend here, straight up. From cycle 5 to 22, it's been getting warmer because the sun has been warming. But if you look at a closer scale, you can see the temperature drops to 1920, rises to 1940, drops into the 50s, rises, drops into the 70s, rises into the 90s, drops a little, comes back up. There are cycles. Now, what NASA reveals, because they're stupid, they actually give us the data set from the end of the last mini ice age till now, which shows that North America has been warming. I bet you I could talk to a 4th grade student and he would understand why North America has been warming since the end of the mini ice age. And I hope all of you watchers and all of my subscribers understand why this map shows red. And if you look at the last 30 years, something is revealed to you. Grand solar minimum much, and that's a snow boom. Because what this map is showing us is the temperature trends from 1987 to 2016, the last 3 decades. The last 3 decades, we've been dropping off into the grand solar minimum called the eddy minimum. Starting with solar cycle 22, followed by 23, and we are now at the bottom of 24. So for 3 decades, North America has been cooling as predicted. Now, unfortunately, the next few years, there will be more cooling than the last 3 decades. That's the nature of the drop-off. And if we have major volcanic activity, it will go even faster. So if you're living in the dark blue zones, and you can get out, I would do it now, because these areas are going to be very unpredictable climatically moving forward and very cold for a very long time. This is the truth about cycles and the warming since the last mini ice age. This is the truth about the cooling for the last 3 solar cycles. On a lighter note, the Quadrantid meteor shower is at its peak. Go outside after the moon sets and check out some fireballs. I'll leave you links. It's a major meteor shower peaking tonight and tomorrow with the potential to produce 50 to 100 meteors at its peak, up to 200 in perfect conditions. We might see some big fireballs, maybe something hits the planet and ends the nonsense, and that's a snow boom. Guys, NASA has revealed to us that the planet is getting colder the last 3 solar cycles. They want you to see this map, and that's how you get it when you go to the site. You know, we're all burning up and going to hell, except for the last 3 decades, where there's clear cooling in the areas that are predicted and the areas that were covered in ice during the last glacial maximum. Ice is building on the St. Lawrence Seaway. They can't get ships out of there. And this is clearly showing a cooling trend for 3 solar cycles as total solar irradiance drops off. The prediction for the next 2 decades is lower than the Dalton minimum. And by the time we hit to the end of cycle 26, we'll be in uncharted territory as far as cosmic rays are concerned. I hope you got something out of the video. The planet is cooling quickly. It's time to prepare. The time is now. Do not wait. Do not believe the global warming nonsense. This is what they want you to believe, and these are the facts. Get the facts. Do not be driven by fear. Proper prior planning prevents piss-poor performance when you have the facts. Start planning now, guys. You can survive and thrive in the coming times. Get your game up. Be safe.